Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the California Department of Aging's Aging Hubs and Spokes webinar. Before I turn it over to Director Wade, I just want to cover a couple of really quick logistics items. First off, closed captioning and ASL interpretation are available. To enable subtitles, select the CC or live transcript icon at the bottom of your screen, and you should see those subtitles populate. Our American Sign Language interpreters will be spotlighted throughout the webinar, so you should be seeing Rachel right now signing away. Thank you, Rachel. All participants will be muted during presentations. However, we are saving time at the end of the webinar for public comment. You can submit comments at any time using the Q&A feature or select the raise hand icon to join the queue, and we'll open your line at the end of the webinar. And just a friendly reminder that the recording from today, as well as the presentation that's visible on your screen, will be posted to the CDA website. And with that, I will turn it over to Kim McCoy-Wade.
Thank you to the entire CDA team for bringing us to this day. Here's what we're going to do today as we talk about aging hubs and spokes together. I'm going to lead us off by talking about the moment we're in right now and the Master Plan for Aging recommendation that we take a fresh look at how our aging hubs and spokes deliver services in all communities across California. My colleague Connie Nakano is going to talk us about, well, today's the kickoff. There are 6 opportunities in the next 6 months to engage and participate and give your input as an individual, as an organization, as a community, as an elected official, as a legislator. And we want to make sure you're familiar with all of those opportunities. And then third, we kind of want to get right into it. And so we have a straw proposal that we want to bring to the group for discussion. Again, this is the first of several stakeholder engagements, but we wanted to give you something juicy to react to and see what you think. And we'll kick it off. The majority of the time today will be discussion with stakeholders, and we're so grateful to our partners at Commission on Aging and the California Association of Area Agencies on Aging, who will both start our public comment off, and then we'll open it up to the, looks like more than 180 folks who are here today to either continue or start this conversation about California for all ages. Next slide. So really, if you're here, you know that California has a tremendous opportunity, and it really has made a commitment to be an age-friendly state. And that means in California, we are a state of multiple communities, of many regions, many cities, many counties. So an age-friendly state means age-friendly communities statewide. Next slide. And as we all know, and knew this even before COVID, aging is changing. More Californians are older, more of us are living longer. The older population is racially diverse, culturally diverse, has different family structures, LGBTQ, multi-generational. And significantly, people over 60 will exceed people under 18 very soon, which has huge impacts for our families and our communities. What stays the same is that most people still want to live, no surprise here, in homes and communities of choice. That is the #1 thing we hear over and over again, and we'll talk more about that. And we know from our own lives and from our families' lives, we want to live, we want to be empowered to live in the homes and communities we choose. And we also know that older adults are essential to thriving communities and families, contributing work, income, caregiving, volunteering, experience, public service, so much more to our communities. So truly, age-friendly communities in every community are critical to our success as a state. So recognizing this, Governor Newsom, next slide, 2 years ago, issued an executive order, June 2019, really just 2 years ago, and said it's time for California to have a master plan for aging, a blueprint to prepare the state and all California communities for these coming changes, a real opportunity and also a challenge. As you may know, the plan came out in January 2021, just 6 months ago, with 5 bold goals, 23 strategies, and over 100 initiatives for the next 2 years to drive us towards an age-friendly state. Next slide. One of the areas that if you were at any stakeholder meeting or Wednesday webinar or town hall or legislative roundtable, this topic came up about how I access aging services in my community. You heard it in the Master Plan for Aging, Long-Term Services and Support Stakeholders recommendations released in March 2020, calling for navigation, easier navigation, and once you navigate, a wealth of services that are accessible. You saw it in the governor's Alzheimer's Task Force recommendations chaired by former First Lady Maria Shriver. A public portal was one of their first recommendations. And you see it in the final master plan released by the administration with multiple initiatives in the leadership and aging section, calling on us to look a fresh look at our partnership with local aging agencies. That AAA in our world is the Area Agencies on Aging. I'll try to call them agencies on aging as much as possible. It also said, let's look at that no wrong door or aging and disability resource connection so that we have that public portal. That's number 98, ADRC. And it also said, let's join the age-friendly network of states that AARP has led our nation and indeed our planet in creating. And we're so grateful that about 50 cities in California have already taken that step to join this age-friendly movement. That all was committed to in January. In June, we did. We joined the AARP network of age-friendly states and communities. Because of all of our work, we're about halfway through a 5-year partnership with them and look to deepen and strengthen our partnership with cities and communities and counties in how we all are age-friendly in the way that fits our region, our cultures, and our style. We know California is many regions. Next slide, please. And powering all this, we would be remiss if we didn't say, is the budget that is still being finalized now by the legislature and the governor, working in partnership, met the deadline. And as it is finally published and released, we know that look at this menu of things that are being invested in for older adults and disabled adults and family caregivers. Again, no wrong door proposals in the January budget, the spring finance letters, the May budget, the home and community-based service package, a new older adult recovery and resiliency package with unprecedented support for meals, one-time funds for nutrition infrastructure to help with coolers and freezers and all the meal programs that help older adults stay at home. Proposals for digital devices to close the digital divide, to combat loneliness and isolation, and support telehealth and work and civic engagement. Our behavioral health warm line partnership with Friendship Line continues to get hundreds of calls a day from older adults seeking a friendly voice on the other line. Older adult employment, we're pleased to be looking at adding more job opportunities coming out of this terrible recession at our strong California minimum wage. Looking at expanding older adult legal services to deal with eviction and fraud and other injustices. Continued support for family caregiving, fall prevention, critical to help modifying homes to make them accessible and safe as we age or acquire disability. More coordination on elder justice and some new investment in the administration of the Area Agency on Aging programs. That's just a snapshot. I didn't even talk about some of the other investments, and we'll have more on that at future convenings. But there is enormous, as I like to say, wind at our sails, pushing us forward to do more and to better in serving, in becoming age-friendly. And again, our partners at the SCAN Foundation polled just again this May. This continues to be the top priority of the people we serve. Don't want to lose independence, don't want to be alone, don't want to move into a nursing home unless that is the right choice at the right time, and do worry about moving into out of the home. Next slide, please. And apologize for the small print, but the voters say that from the SCAN Foundation and AP North poll in May, that it makes it even more urgent to prioritize this work, to prioritize investments, and to make in that bottom square in the right with the red circle that says 89%. 89% is pretty high in polling, to have access to the services we need to live at home in the community. So for all these reasons, from all these channels, from master plan, from Alzheimer's, from AARP, from our cabinet work group, from our stakeholders, from the public polling, the common question is, how can California communities all provide easy and excellent information and services on aging, disability, and Alzheimer's to all residents and families? And importantly, it's not just that information, it's the access to real services. Well, the good news is we have part of the answer in California. We've got amazing, innovative leaders doing just this right now. San Francisco County led by Shireen McSpadden, who's now moved over to homelessness, has been presenting to many of us on her work to create with her team the Benefit and Resource Hub in San Francisco, bringing together all services under one front door, but then partnering deeply with CBOs, community-based organizations in different neighborhoods, serving different communities with the county human services, county aging services, and area agency services. So that is one model. And this is a good time as any to say, at the end of the presentation, we will point you to the resource library for many of the things that we've talked about today. The original documents are. There's also really interesting work happening in LA County, where the Board of Supervisors has taken that fresh look at how they are delivering aging services, bringing together the LA County leadership and LA City leadership and the AAA leadership to look at what would it take to have a new LA County Department of Aging. And I commend to you the report and the partnership with USC, looking at what is needed for the people they serve now and the people of the future to provide that easy access to comprehensive services that help us live where we want to live. And I could just go on and on about the points of light all over the state. It's one of the great privileges being the director. And Marin County, the great partnership between the Independent Living Center, the county, the AAA, and the Community Foundation to really look at how can we tell everybody about our services through a common message, common name, common logo, so that we're easy to find. It's known to families, to older adults, where your first stop is, and they can connect you to the package of services that you're interested in and that work for you. So that's our good news. So that's our next step, is how do we make that the reality everywhere? How can we help every community put the pieces of the puzzle together to have the kind of what my boss, Secretary Galley, calls the hubs and spokes. I'll try that metaphor on, you can tell me if it works for you. But this is what we mean by hubs and spokes, is there's that door, okay? We've talked about this, the one door a lot, but again, let's get that common door, the name, the brand, so we know where to go, but then behind it, linkages to all the kinds of services that might support living at home and community, whether it's meals, family caregiving, legal services, digital divide, Medicaid assistance, CalFresh assistance, and so much more. And that is not just a referral, hardly. It's more than that. It's that care coordination, it's that personal assessment, it's that empowering person-centered interview so that we are really helping people build the support around them and ourselves to live where we want to live as we age successfully. So how can we do those things everywhere? That is the question we're wrestling with, and that's why we've invited you all here today to help us figure it out. We have the questions, we do not have the answers, but we know that together, through listening and learning from each other, we will get there. So why now? Why now? It's been a year. It's been a rough year, and we've all are still in various stages of our recovery from the losses, the grieving, the challenges, and that's with us still. At the same time, it makes this work even more urgent and timely. Let me talk about two things. Again, you can hear our governor, you can hear our president saying it is a historic opportunity to not just recover, as I was talking about, but to build back better with and for older and disabled adults and families of all ages. Now is our moment. We've got the COVID accelerator, again, as my secretary will say. It really, and again, as Rigo Saborio, I will always remember him reporting back to us from St. Barnabas Senior Services in Los Angeles, reporting to us at the Master Plan for Aging Stakeholder table about how older adults were resilient through the pandemic, but were also deeply suffering. And we've learned that from COVID, and we have to do better and take those lessons to heart and to head. We also have the Master Plan for Aging Bold Goals, which is committed to expanding home and community living, supporting home and community living for people of all incomes, people of all immigration status, of all languages, marital status, gender. Living at home and community should be part of the California experience, and that's what our goals say in the Master Plan for Aging. And the time is ticking. We're 6 months in, 9 years, 6 months to go. And as I mentioned earlier, we also have the wind at our sails of incredible federal and state investment. The American Recovery Plan, the Investments in Older Americans Act, and so much more give us a chance to invest in both that recovery and that Build Back Better, and the state budget with an unprecedented surplus prudently and strategically is really pushing us forward to build that home and community-based service system for all older adults. So it's a moment. But the other thing I want to say is that the system we built in the Older Americans Act in California a couple of decades ago has weathered a lot of changes, and just a few, and I bet many of the people on this call can add more. So we've got just one of the most amazing networks of community-based organizations in the state who really are in many ways the engine of our equity, whether it's their work on vaccine, whether it's the work on census, the work on disaster response. We always will be and must be in deep partnership with our community-based organizations that bring so much expertise and trust to the table. We also have had our county human services for adults have expanded dramatically over the years. People know about our crown jewel, in-home supportive services, and the essential adult protective services. But really in the last decade, Medicaid now serves adults under 65 without kids. So we've picked up a lot of young older adults, of course. And the CalFresh expansion to adults on SSI, SSP has broadened that population to the counties for CalFresh as well. And there's just terrific homelessness prevention programs that unfortunately are needed. But whether it's the Housing and Disability Advocacy Program or the Home Safe Program, counties are leading the way in so many essential adult services. We're also really grateful to many of you who are here who have strengthened the partnership between aging and disability, looking at the common ground, working through our differences in our own ageism or ableism, to really try to have that shared vision. And I want to thank the stakeholders for really pulling us and leading us in this way. The ADRC, our partnership, again, No Wrong Door, acronym apology, No Wrong Door in partnership with the Independent Living Centers is a star example of that. The Master Plan for Aging sought to be as inclusive and representative as a Master Plan for Aging could. And I'm really pleased with our new CHSS Community Living Advisory Committee, Disability and Aging, bringing together these communities as well. And that's really an opportunity for us. And you see it in our counties as well, bringing together aging and disability so well. And then I also want to say in the last 2 years that I've been at CDA, I've had a terrific team who's really been committed to modernizing. I'll say it here and I'll say it again, we still do paper checks. And if that doesn't tell you a lot, and we're not going to by the end of this year, we are moving to, and that's just one example of how we are moving forward, moving to more modern and streamlined business processes, whether it's the money, whether it's a shared IT system. We kind of call it our CDA 2.0. And I want to thank my team who has done a lot of this work, even in the face of the pandemic, and AAAs who have worked with us very closely to make sure we do it well and smoothly. And I think the other thing we want to look at is our Older Californians Act, the legislative backbone, last modernized in 1996. So there's that. And conversations are already beginning with other states about the Older Americans Act. What are the opportunities to modernize that at the national level, again, coming out of COVID, again, with the demographic change in 2024. So there's a question that's been called from many sectors. We want to start to answer it together. We do think the time is now to tackle it. And I'm going to hand it over to Connie to list out all the different ways that we're hoping you will engage with us the next 6 months to try to make some progress. Connie.
Everyone, thank you. So I'll go over, we've got 6 different ways that you'll be able to engage with this process that we'll have over the next 6 months. So first is our stakeholder engagement kickoff webinar, which is what we're doing today. This is the first event that we're having that we'll be able to engage with each other. All the web resources will be available on the CDA website. So we'll have direct links for you as well. But if you go to the homepage, just look under the highlight section, you'll see Aging Hubs Initiative there. Also, if there's any questions or comments, we encourage you to send those in to us. You can send it to engage@aging.ca.gov. Next slide. Next, we'll have a public survey. This will be both available online and also via telephone, and we'll be conducting this in multiple languages. We'd like to launch this. We're looking at end of July or early August that we'll be able to deploy this and be able to have the surveys out for folks to give feedback, input, questions, and comments. Third, it will be community virtual town halls. These will be co-hosted with the Commission on Aging and also local leaders. We'd like to have 4 of them, and we're looking to do these over the summer between August and September. We're looking to do 4 and kind of regionalize them a little bit, although they'll still all be virtual, but we're looking at the Bay Area and Central Coast, LA and Southern California, Central Valley, and then also rural and remote California as well. Fourth way is our webinars. We'll have best practices and aging leadership webinars that we're looking to do in the September-October timeframe. So these will be with aging agencies and healthcare and others to be determined, but we'll be looking to do these webinars as well. Next. The fifth will be stakeholder convenings and work groups. So these work groups and convenings, we've already have some talks and have started some of the engagement with it. But for example, these will be buy-in with the California Commission on Aging, California Association of Area Agencies on Aging, County Welfare Directors Association of California, the California Association of Counties, and also the AAA Advisory Councils as well. And last, we'll have a stakeholder forum. You know, with all the feedback and findings, what we'd like to do is collate everything and have a forum to go over all of our findings with you. And we're looking to do this probably towards December, towards the end of the year is when we'd like to schedule this out as well. And what are the results from this process that we're looking for? You know, that's still to be determined. You know, we're looking for a lot of feedback from input from all of you. You know, results could include legislative, regulatory, budgetary, administrative, and partnership proposals in 2022. And, you know, these can be things such as, you know, modernizing the older Californians Act, changes to California's map of planning and service areas to align with hubs and spokes, revisiting the OAA funding formulas, updating of local agencies on aging designation processes with County Board of Supervisors. It could be updates to the California's Federal Older American Act annual plans, and also modernizing the Older Americans Act with national partners as well. Next, I'll toss it back to you for the proposal for discussion.
Thank you. And I just want to acknowledge that here in Sacramento, we just had a small earthquake. I hope everybody is okay. I'm still seeing folks with us, and so we're going to keep rolling as we do in the Department of Aging, but please be safe, obviously. So what we wanted to do was just get into it and put out a straw proposal. If we were in a room face-to-face, this would be on a dry erase board, and you'd have Post-its and markers and stickers. So imagine that, if you will. But here we are in a virtual world. We want to put out a proposal and talk through what a foundation and framework could look like and get your response to it. I'm going to try to get through it in about 10 minutes so that we have that close to full hour for your feedback on discussion. And we're really interested in, does this vision resonate with you and your community? Do you want this for your community? Do you have this for your community? And how can we, the department, help make this vision more accurate and then actually execute it with you so that we do have that statewide service for all. Okay, so here we go. Back a couple, please, if we can. All right, so for the Statewide Aging Hubs Initiative, we know from our work with all of you that at the local level, the key relationship is the three-way partnership between the area agencies on aging, county adult services, and the CBO, Community and Aging and Disability. This is the foundation, is what we see, is when those three entities can come together, and that looks different in different communities, but when those three are aligned, coordinated, and integrated, that is the foundation to people experiencing services as aligned, coordinated, and integrated. So we start with that foundation, that the partnership between the Area Agency on Aging, the County Aging Services, and the CBO community is the key to an effective hub and spoke system. And then we see 6 common elements, we think, 6 frameworks. And I'm going to go through one each at a time, is that we think it might be the framework that every community could say, yeah, I could do that. It might look different in my community, but this might be a framework we could all get around. And again, draft. Okay, Number one, that we have a common door. No matter what part of the state we're in, we know whether the name, we know how to find what it is we do in providing home and community living and aging and disability services. I think many of us know the Medi-Cal name or the WIC name or the First Five name. But at the aging and disability services, famously people say you don't know what it is until you need it. Can we get a common tagline, a common brand, a common website, a common phone number, maybe leveraging the old and the vibrant current, but the long-standing, I should say, AAA Adult Services line, 1-800-510-2020, so people have one stop. Next element, because the door is only as good as what's behind it. It's the services. What's behind that door? Are there a range of home and community services that every community offers? And here's a couple thoughts. We learned from New York and other states that there is a common core of AAA services in every community. There is variation, there's local additions, but that no matter which hub you go to, that there'll at least be the same set. If you move across community lines, if your family's in multiple communities, that there's a common core. And then again, that it's not just a few, it's really those spokes, those branches to really anywhere that an older adult or a disabled adult needs to live at home in the community. Third piece is quality, of course, quality. And we're learning now about different training to make sure that this is person-centered, equity-focused, culturally appropriate, linguistically appropriate. We're learning about different training platforms where we could have a common training or common training components so that everyone who answers the phone, provides that care coordination, delivers services, is coming from a common framework of what it means to be doing person-centered work, to have dementia capabilities, for example, and on, but really making sure we're not just serving more people. We do want to get the numbers up, but not just quantity without quality. A fourth element is some partnerships that have become more and more important, particularly on the horizon. I have to mention health plans. We are so excited by the leadership of the Department of Healthcare Services in bringing more home and community-based services into Medicaid and exploring with the new Medicare office how Medicare can support living at home in the community. Well, how do we bridge the health plan that can authorize it and pay for it with our Aging and Disability Network's expertise in those services? We've got some great models in California, Institute on Aging in the Bay Area, Partners in Care Foundation in Southern California, but we're not statewide. And there's a huge opportunity for our network to figure out how we can partner with health plans across regions to increase seamless care and of course stretch those dollars to provide the truly effective home and community living. Not just the clinical healthcare, but the social care that is so critical. The most important thing for a fall may be that home modification, as well as that physical therapy. The other partnership that is critical in California, again, the earthquake made the point for me, is disaster services. We know that older adults and disabled adults are more vulnerable if they have access and functional needs during heat waves, during power outages, during wildfires, during earthquakes. And we want to make sure that we are partnering very closely with Office of Emergency Services. I'm very proud of the many aging agencies who have those partnerships before COVID, who made them even stronger. And we want to build on that to make sure that's there statewide. And then thirdly, we have a historic, as well as statutory, as well as moral responsibility to serve our tribal elders. And we want to take that work up a notch and appropriate with our federal government in a government-to-government partnership, our governor's office leadership, to make sure that tribal elders, whether they are living on tribal lands or in other California communities, are getting the robust services that they are entitled to, that are theirs, and to help them thrive in the home and communities of choice. So this is a special responsibility of the Department of Aging, and we take it very seriously and look to grow more and help our local partners do so as well. Okay, then behind the scenes, technology and data. We are committed and already underway to connecting our network with a shared platform of technology. Right now, our network is in 4 different systems, but we have, with the partnership and leadership, we are moving together into one to provide a better customer service experience and to also be able to provide better data and more efficient work. We also pioneered some new data dashboards during COVID, so you can see in real time our week-by-week record-setting meal delivery. And we want to make that the new norm, that our data is transparent and consistent while reducing significantly the reporting burdens on the network. So how do we use technology and data effectively as a network is one of our big priorities. And again, I want to thank my team and the AAA network and ADRC and ILC for coming with us on this journey. And last but not least, the admin and the money. Again, I mentioned some of this in 2.0 that we're looking at how we can better support local partners. We can move electronic from paper. Can we move to allocations from contracts? Can we streamline our contracting and move from the one-year contracts to multi-year contracts? All of those things are being looked at so we can be a better partner and you can spend more time serving people and less time on the administration. And we know that a real question for folks is what is the right size of the funding for this network? As the older adult population grows and diversifies, how do we make sure that the funding is sufficient and adequate at the federal level, state level, local level, and then distributed equitably across the state? We heard an interesting conversation yesterday, but asking is the formula fair to the rural communities? And so we want to take a look at all of that with you. So that's our sketch that we have on our wall. Is this something that we could all across the state say, in order to serve this growing, diversifying population, we need to make sure every community has that partnership, that foundation partnership with Area 8. That's not even a partnership. It is coordinated, integrated, aligned, very close together between the Area Agency on Aging, County Adult Services, and our CBOs. Can they weave that hub and spoke that fits their community? And then can we help support you on those 6 elements? Can we help with that statewide one door, that statewide core services, statewide standards for training and resources, facilitation with key partnerships like emergency services, health plans, and tribal, which are not exactly the same as your jurisdictions? Can we help with a common technology and common data? And we know we can help on the fiscal and admin side, at least on the streamlining all of that. So before we open it up to our partners for some kickoff comments and then all of you, I just want to remind you that we do have a webpage where we are building out all of these resources. I've talked about some of the papers, some of the models, some of the PowerPoints, and all the information will be out there. As you saw, the survey rolling out later this month, the webinars the next month, the town halls the next month, then the webinars. So you'll be able to keep up to date there. And of course, we'll provide updates at our regular quarterly stakeholder as we go along, and are open to all kinds of other ways to stay connected as well. With that, we are excited to hear from all of you and delighted to start the conversation. Our 2 of our closest partners, the California Commission on Aging and California Association of Area Agencies on Aging. Ellen Schmieding is a legend from San Diego, among other things. She currently works at St. Paul Senior Services, a key leader on that team there, and is the chair of the Statewide California Commission on Aging. Ellen, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. I really want to express our support for these Master Plan for Aging initiatives, specifically 98 and 101, though we have strong support across the board. One of our top priorities this year for the Commission on Aging is to put our support behind the Aging and Disability Resource Connection, the No Wrong Door model. The importance of having a clear pathway to learn about services and supports in every region cannot be understated. I live in San Diego, and for many years, our county, our CBOs, our community have come together to make sure that our seniors and persons with disabilities know how to access services. We've had a no wrong door model for many years, and I can tell you that how important it is to continuously educate about that access for all those in our community. I also want to note that our executive director, Carol Swartzlander, with the Commission on Aging, is on our ADRC advisory committee. So she's representing the commission and making sure all know of our great support for this initiative. We also support revisiting the local structure for increased needs. We know 1 out of 5 Californians will soon be older adults. How important to lay the infrastructure. And as noted, we plan to participate, and we volunteered to assist in a number of ways, including helping to host those town halls over the summer and fall. I just want to close by saying this is such an exciting time for aging and disability advocates and for those that we serve. We have unprecedented resources and a thoughtful master plan that helps guide our efforts. This, along with organizations like Department on Aging, led by Kim McCoy-Wade and her dynamic team, and the Statewide Health and Human Services, ready and willing and asking for stakeholders to provide input. And we have the ear of our elected officials as well. So it seems like a perfect storm of opportunity, and it's a very exciting time that we're very excited and enthusiastic about participating. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Schmeeding. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Victoria Jump, who also wears more than one hat. Victoria is the leader of Ventura County Department of Adults and Aging Services, and also is the chair of the board of the California Association of Area Agencies on Aging. So Victoria, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kim, for being able to make a few comments. On behalf of the California Association of Area Agencies on Aging, we're really delighted to be part of this conversation, and we look forward to working with CDA and other state agencies and also other partners, really to build strong hubs and spokes in every California community. We're excited about this additional focus on older adults and people with disabilities and how people access services, but because we all know that at the end of the day, you can have the best programs in the world, and if people don't know about them or can't access them easily, they don't work. We feel our existing infrastructure really has the strong bones to be the hub and really work with all the community-based organizations and the county aging and adult services to weave these spokes and to really build the system that we need in the future. I would also like to let everybody know that with all of these changes that are happening, we also have a new executive director for our state association, who is Michael Costa. And so if he can be found, he would like to make a few comments as well.
Let me check with my team and see if you see Michael Costa in our 224 participants.
I'm sorry, Kim, I don't. I see a couple of different Michaels, but not Michael Costa.
Michael, if you can text Victoria or me, we will find you.
He's on under L Costa.
There we go. Do you see him, Maria?
I do. Michael, you should be able to turn your camera on, turn your audio on, and come on.
Turn this on. So there I am. Usually I'm Michael Costa, so I'll have to do something about this. It's a pleasure to join C4A as executive director. I've worked with a number of you on the call over the years, and I really look forward to working with all of you and the Department of Aging going forward. C4A will be an active participant in the discussion as social behavioral health and healthcare services evolve for California's disabled and senior populations. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, Michael, welcome. And I don't think I've had a chance to personally congratulate you. What is this, day 3 on the job?
Yes, it's day 3. That
Welcome.
was a good guess.
We're thrilled to be kicking off our new relationship and long historic and strong relationship with the association with you and Victoria. So thank you.
Yes, it's good, really good to be here.
Great. So with that, we would like to open up the conversation. We see a few comments in the chat and in the, I guess, the Q&A, and I will let my team moderate and facilitate, and we'll kick it off. Here to listen.
So now we're opening it up for public comment. So if you'd like to speak, please feel free to click on the raise your hand icon and we'll open up your microphone so that you can ask your question or make your comment. Let's start over in the Q&A section. We've got a few comments that have come in. One is, so the Hubs Initiative framework is a good start. There's a need for adequate funding to support healthcare access in all communities. Medical providers have to be reimbursed appropriately in order to ensure adequate access in all communities. There's another comment, just commenting on faith communities should also be included in one of the elements of the framework, maybe for consideration. So thank you for that comment.
And we got a question that I tried to answer about, are we wedded to the name Aging Hubs? Absolutely not. And if that sounds, we're not. We love the metaphor of the hub as the place to start and then the many branches out. But really, this is what we want to co-create with all of you is the vision, including that name. So bring it on.
Okay. We have another comment and question that came in. It says, agree that coordination and streamlining is critical. We'll need to address federal funding silos. Revamping the 33 PSA model must balance this with local control, input, and recognition that the OAA and CDA have a lot of requirements from AAAs. If a PSA gets too small, it will need a minimum amount of funding to exist and meet requirements. If the plan is to put multiple PSAs, especially in the rural north, together, we will have to address the issue of OAA mandate for local control and input. Del Norte is not Shasta, is not Trinity, etc. When a smaller county is part of a larger PSA, they don't always feel well represented or understood. How many hubs are you thinking about? Is it one per county?
Oh, thank you, Maggie. That's a great comment. And for those who don't know, Maggie is one of our terrific leaders up north. Again, this is a conversation with questions, not answers. So what we asked our team to do in thinking about hubs and spokes is we had our team do 3 different scenarios, which will be posted on that webpage of resources as starting points for discussion. One scenario is the 33, as the map is currently drawn, which includes 2 county areas for one AAA and a few multi-county. The Sacramento region has multi-county around Redding, around Chico, also have multi-county and a few more. Another model is, as you said, to do 1 per county to align them one-to-one with the county adults. There's pros and cons of that, as you mentioned, in terms of resources and reporting, but also close to the local control and local community. And then we, just for discussion, did a 3rd scenario, which is a hybrid, which is kind of a 1-to-1 model in the medium and large counties, and then that kind of regional approach in the rural counties, kind of the small 20, to try to get that best of both worlds. But that's exactly the kind of thing we're looking for feedback. And that's also why one of our 4 virtual town halls is about rural specifically, because we do recognize that rural and particularly the remote counties have different issues in terms of what you raised, Maggie, very, very well. So we have those scenarios for starting points. We show what happens with the maps. We show what happens with the money. We show what happens, what would be needed to hold harmless if we went to more. And so have at it. That's what we're looking for, is feedback and recommendations on all of it.
Okay, let's move over to those that want to speak and are raising their hands. Let's go to Janet Van Zoren. Your mic will be opened. Let's see.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm listening to all this and it sounds great, and there's so many wonderful things that you're doing with all of this, and I'm really happy to see that. But at the same time, I'm very concerned about a group of people who have disabilities who age at a much younger age than is typical for the general population. And because they age approximately 20 years earlier than the general public, the services that they need for dementia, which they have a very high percentage of attaining do not even exist. And so how can these hub organizations handle inquiries for people who are not yet seniors and who have the same kinds of needs that seniors who have dementia have, but because of their disability, the manifestation of their dementia is slightly different and the needs are slightly different. I'm trying to figure out how we can work that all in with what you're trying to do with these hubs, because it would be so nice to be able to call one of these hub organizations and to get knowledgeable information that would be helpful for providing services to these individuals. Thank you.
Janet, I think the vision that you just laid out is very much the vision of our aging network. And you think about what's happening in San Francisco with adding the disability to their name. They did a ballot initiative. They had to do, take it to the ballot to change their name to Aging and Disability. Ellen will correct me, but I believe San Diego is Aging and Independence. Many folks are bringing aging and disability together. And of course, our aging and disability resource connections are there. You are correct. There are some programs that are age-based that are 60 over, and you are correct. There are some programs that are disability specific, but there are many that cross both. Adult Day Health, SSI, the new Medicaid expansion. So we are looking into the feds, for example, who 5 years ago brought aging and disability centers together under that common aging and disability, because there is so much overlap and so many of the same services, while still recognizing, yes, there are Older Americans Act rules about 60, and there are some disability specific programs that have eligibility tied to disability. But that's why that coordination, integration, alignment behind the scenes is so important, so that the person can get the person-centered care and not have to go to a different door based on eligibility for the same thing. I'm hoping we can have more forums to hear more from the local leaders who are doing this and making this work, but that has been, that's where we see some really great work happening around the state.
Great, let's go to the next individual. We'll open up Elna Times. Elna, your microphone is on.
I got it. Okay. I am a member of the Santa Clara County Senior Care Commission and of the Advisory Council for the Area Agency on Aging in Santa Clara County. So I see both of these organizations work on parallel paths. I am particularly interested in what it is that the state can do to replicate some very successful program. Well, one is successful, one will be successful programs that we have managed to get through the County Board of Supervisors that serve the aging population. One of them is scholarships to adult day centers for the people who really cannot afford the full price of 2 days a week, for instance, in an adult day center. You know that the adult day centers provide not only an alternate kind of resource for those who have dementia or other kinds of disabilities, but they also provide respite from the caregivers. And that is probably even more important for the family caregiver than it is for the patient themselves. Right now, the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors has approved 1.2 million for the next two years for 75 scholarships that are available to low-income seniors for attendance at these programs. We'd love to see the state get involved in this so that it isn't just on it doesn't fall just on the backs of the state, of the county financial services. The other program that is about to be approved is a program that, I'm sorry. Anyway, there's another program that escapes my mind right now. I'm having a senior moment. That this Board of Supervisors is also looking at for another $1.5 million in services for, for digital inclusion for the seniors in our county. We have about 2,000, actually we have a number of seniors, but about 2,000 of them would be provided equipment, connectivity, training, and support for digital connection to the various resources, including but not limited to telehealth, so that they could become more informed about the kinds of things that are available to them. The 1.5 million that we've asked for may be down to 1.2 million, but it's still a tremendous boon for helping the local seniors get connected to the digital world. We'd like to see the state get involved in that and offer equivalents to that kind of program, so it doesn't just fall on the county funds. That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much. There's so many good points there. One is county innovation and county and community and city innovation and leadership that we want to lift up and never stifle in any way. So that is terrific to hear about the scholarships and the digital divide. I think that is one of the things we're looking to do in a robust network, is have some kind of common services so you know what to get, you'll get, but that there'll also be these room for local innovation. And then as innovation succeeds, it could bubble up to be a state funding priority or a federal funding priority. Digital divide, I'll just say, has been prioritized by CDA in our stimulus and recovery funds. Our first round of digital devices through the AAA network has been provided. There were more proposals in the budget to do it through some of our Medicaid programs, more proposals in the budget to do it through with our county partners. We are getting ready to work with our ombuds programs, our long-term care ombuds programs on robotic pets for isolation and loneliness. So yes, we learn from your innovation, and then we try to, with the network, scale and resource where we can. So that's exactly the cycle that we're trying to have this network be able to go through more effectively. And that's great about Adult Day Health. Thank you for the shout out for how important that service is for older adults, people with disabilities, and absolutely family caregivers.
Okay, now let's move on to a few questions that we're getting in the Q&A. So this one's about the questions on the questionnaire. This is from Gwendolyn Gill. What types of questions will the questionnaire have? Do you have a bank of questions related to the MPA that local areas can use to draw out on our community priorities?
Yes, we'll be releasing the questions in. If you have suggestions, again, please send them in. But we'd like to ask people about how they access aging and disability services now, and how they know about them, how they access them, and how they would like to in the future, and what would be helpful. So we'd like to ask some public questions like that. And as we said, make the survey both something you could do online, something you could do over the phone, and something you could print out and, I'm sorry, could be done mail in as well. So there's many ways for the public, but we're happy to share those questions. And we know that local aging networks have terrific networks, including the AAA councils with consumers that we'd like to hear from. So we're happy to work on that with people as well.
Great. This next one's from Stephen Klein. I'm slightly concerned that what may be a one-size-fits-all may limit or impede future innovation in our very diverse state. How are we going to make sure that a periodic review is implemented to make needed changes to meet the future unknowns?
Great, 2 questions. So that's very much what we are asking in the framework. We do think in order to move our state forward and provide a California for all, we need to have a common framework. Now notice I didn't frame, I mean quite literally. We didn't paint in the picture, we didn't pick the colors, we didn't pick the materials, but the frame. And so we want to see if this is a frame that allows your community to paint the picture you want to paint while connecting us across the state so that there is these suite of services findable and accessible to all older Californians, disabled Californians, and family caregivers. So let us know if this feels too restrictive, if there's something in here that wouldn't work for you, or if there's something missing. But we do think kind of some parameters that we can all move towards will help us perform and build the case for continued investment and continued results. Your second point is a very interesting one that we're looking at in terms of periodically updating. One of the things baked into the Older Americans Act is we're tied to the census. When the population comes out about older adults, that changes some funding formula and some other opportunities. And so that's happening. We're kind of at that 10-year cycle now. And so one of the things that we're open to suggestions on is should we think about building in some reviews at that 10-year point Of course, we also already have the Older Americans Act state plan on a 4-year cycle, and all of our local folks do a area plan. So we don't want to create too many complicated and confusing timelines. But I think that notion of building in a refresh is a good thought, and how to do that, we'd love to hear suggestions on.
Okay, here's one. This is more of a comment from Carlos Londano. Great initiative, very much needed to help and facilitate our seniors to navigate the complicated system. First comment, would suggest to select 1 to 5 pilot counties to develop, implement, and evaluate the hub models. Second, would suggest to create community advisory committees, advisory boards with diverse communities and consumers like Latinos, API, and others to engage and shape the models. And third comment, also important to consider and connect health promotion and active aging.
Carlos, that's great. I mean, I would say to you, we already have the pilots. We already have more than 5 communities in Victoria. Maybe you or Michael would help us identify where we see that strong county, AAA, CBO working together to provide that seamless experience. I've mentioned Los Angeles is working towards that vision with their board of supervisors. San Francisco has that vision with their hub plan. Victoria can share some of the Ventura experience. Sharon Nevins from San Bernardino County, who's recently been appointed to the Master Plan for Aging Stakeholder Committee and is on the national board, can share the model in San Bernardino. San Diego, Age Well San Diego, I've long been a leader. I'm going to leave somebody off, so I'm going to stop. We have lots of models. We don't have it statewide. And so how can we learn from those innovators and pioneers and make that and spread that? And they will tell you San Diego does not look like San Francisco. Even Marin doesn't look like San Francisco. They have done it in their own way, but I believe they'd be able to share some common principles that we've been studying and learning from and want to continue to refine so that we can move from the pilot to the to statewide. To your point about advisory, all AAAs do have this, the AAA Advisory Council of Consumers. And so that's something that we should include in looking at how can we strengthen those and hear from people what's working and what could always be improved. And then I'm just scrolling to see your third, there was a third piece. I'm sorry, can you remind me the third part of that? There was a 3-part question.
Yeah, let me look for it. Where'd it go?
Oh, absolutely, Carlos. Absolutely. It's not just about services and supports. It is absolutely about age-friendly communities and employment, volunteerism, social and civic, as any of our networks can tell you. And I think that's an important piece. We want to be really, really clear that this is for all older adults, for all the different stages of aging, whether it's a transition home from a surgery and needing some extra support for a few weeks, or a situation of dementia progressing, or just a life transition from working to retiring and seeking some new purpose and community, that we can be there for people, for all of ourselves as we age here in California.
Great. Let's move on to, let's just take a couple of the raised hands. We'll open up Marina Bolser. Okay, Marina, I think your mic should be open.
While you're doing that, I want to just read Will Tipp's question about does CDA support the CWDA proposal? So I don't know if anyone's from CWDA. Diana Boyer had a conflict and could not join us. So I will let CWDA speak on their own voice about their proposals. And Will, again, what we're here to do is ask the question, what is the right way to do aging hubs? And as I said, there is one scenario that shows it with a hub in all 58 counties. There's another scenario that says the hub in the 33 we have now, and another where it's a hybrid. So I think all proposals are on the table, and we really need your feedback for what's the way forward to 2030. There's a question about IHSS, and we're not going to talk about that today. I'll direct you to my colleagues at Department of Social Services. Mitch Matthews also asked about a universal platform. Let me make an important maybe too technical, but I think given the diversity of California and the diversity of aging and disability, it's not so much a universal platform as interoperable platforms. Our platforms have to talk to each other. So we in the Aging Network would like to get into one platform, but we know if we're talking to health plans, they will be in a different one. If we're talking to county social services, they will be in a different one. And that's okay, but we need to make sure that our systems talk to each other. So that's the kind of IT mapping out that we're doing with our networks. Elaine Clark says, is the hub a physical space? Who pays for the space? It does not have to be. A hub is a place where you call or go on the web. It's your starting point. Elaine, I'm going to try some analogies on you and you can tell me which ones work and which ones don't. Some people have said maybe it's a travel agent analogy for those of us who remember travel agents who can help you put together your whole trip with hotels or train or other. So that's the hub in that sense. Your travel agent is your hub, whether or not you actually go to her office. Some have used the Amazon analogy. You go to Amazon and do all your Christmas shopping. I don't like that one because we're so much more than a website. We are that person-centered, listening, customizing the right services for you where you are on your journey. But there's lots of metaphors, but and of course, I do think any hub and spoke system will have physical spaces. Community centers are critical. We miss coming together in person, whether for meals, intergenerational, exercise, so much. So physical spaces are part of a hub and spoke network, but they don't necessarily have to be, you don't necessarily have to go in somewhere physical to access the travel agent, if you will. Help me with the metaphor, folks. You see, we need it. We need you. What do we got, Connie?
How about there's one from Elna Times. How do we connect with the right individuals at the state level to exchange information about what's being done at the county level?
How do we connect? Well, we've Elaine, Elna, I would say start with our email and we'll tell us your question a little bit more about who, where you're from, and we would love to hear any feedback. And then if you're looking to connect with your AAA, your county adult services and or leading CBOs, we can help make that connection, again, in partnership with Commission on Aging and C4A and CWDA. Sorry for all the acronyms. But Connie, maybe you can put the slide up with the email. And that'll help people see how they can send us all kinds of questions and comments ongoing.
Yep. Let's see, how about, there's a question from Tasia Payne. Does CDA see joint power agencies as viable AAAs?
I would turn the question back on Tasia and say, tell us what your experience has been with joint power agencies as viable AAAs. I'm very interested to hear about, and for those of you, a joint power agency is when a couple counties share a AAA. It's probably a too short description of that. And that's one of the questions we have of, is that working? Or is it time to have each county go its own way? Is there enough funding and enough streamlining and enough coordination with county services that makes sense? Or it makes total sense to come together and be together because you're sharing the same service spokes, particularly in the rural areas where there's fewer nonprofits and you're all using the same ones. It might make sense to come together. So that's the question. We do not have the answer standing here in July. We're hoping to have greater clarity by December.
Great. I see there's a few comments about using the word no wrong door. So one from Maggie Kraft is, we used to say no wrong door. It has always been challenging because of the funding silos that each of the doors get. Another comment from Sarah Gross. Thank you, Kim Coy Wade. I think no wrong door is preferable to one door, but some additional tagline ideas I like are no wrong door, access options answers, or no wrong door, help wherever you turn.
We also really like Minnesota has linkages, is the one name and one for every service, whether it's including, we haven't even talked about HICAP, health insurance counseling, or ombuds. The linkages problem, it's nice because AGE can be capitalized, but it doesn't include disability. So I don't think it works for California where we're committed to that inclusivity, but it is a nice word that conveys a lot. And of course, I always mention my jealousy of First Five. in having a short tagline that has resonated with parents and caregivers of young children. So the challenge has been thrown. Of course, we'll be leading Connie will be leading us in a proper branding process and marketing and listening to consumers and listening to you all in coming months. But welcome your suggestions. You know best what resonates in your communities. Please send them on. And speaking about, Sheila asks, do hubs relate to ADRCs? We think so. We think in order to be a hub of services, you need to be offering an ADRC, but let us know what you think. Nancy wants to know what changes we're thinking about to 2024. We are just beginning to, Older Americans Act, sorry, not Older Californians, sorry. We were just briefed on a presentation by the New York State Unit on Aging and the New York Association of Area Agencies on Aging with their idea for modernization for the Older Americans Act. And we've added that to the resource page so you can take a look at it. One theme I'll just call out is there were a lot of flexibilities that were granted during COVID to streamline our services. We got money out faster. There was flexibility in whether you did home delivered meals or meals at community centers or even drive-through meals. And can we preserve some of those flexibilities that were proven to be effective for the people we serve? Can those be proven? So that's just one example of the kind of conversation New York is starting, and they're eager to hear from California.
We have a question from Wayne Norton. How do we encourage agencies that provide services to remain independent of political influence?
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways to answer that question. I think we're hoping that with some more, it's always good to have transparency and data dashboards so that people can see what services are being provided and that they're being provided robustly and proportionally and equitably. So that's part of our answer. And I think we also at CDA need to take our oversight role, and we are taking our oversight role, a fresh look at that. We are in the process of making sure that our oversight is informed by risk, and by performance, by size. And so we are modernizing, streamlining our monitoring process as well, so that in those unfortunate and uncommon cases where there is a serious issue, a compliance issue, an ethical issue, we can respond more nimbly and effectively. So that is part of the mix as well.
Just a reminder for folks, if you'd like to ask a question, feel free to hit the raise your hand icon and we'll unmute your mics and you can ask your question live. We're getting some additional comments here.
I want to speak to Evie is calling for, Evie Cussler is calling for innovation in transportation. Another area where we see transportation innovation happening in our local, ride sharing is one of the places among others. And we would like to be able to, again, tell that story, scale that, scope that, and continue to make the case for more investment and more accountability if there's results on that, which we know there can be and will be. It could be, for an example, also a common core service. If the network agrees that we should do some common core services, that would be something we would include in that package as they have in New York and other states. And then, provide best practice training and provide, and you can imagine the small counties sharing some resources on that. So I think there's a lot of potential when we work as a network and not just on our own. Anna raises the very timely point, well, always timely, to be sure that we're not responding to quality of life issues that really were better served by social services and behavioral health with police. And so that our new Elder Justice Coordinating Council at the state level is beginning to meet. We had our first planning meeting and look forward to meeting more with counties and other stakeholders soon. And this has already been raised, this issue of how do we make sure when we're responding to abuse and neglect, fraud, exploitation, particularly in families or families of choice, that we're doing so with a justice-informed, a race-informed, a trauma-informed lens. So I think California has a lot of potential to learn from communities who are doing great things and scale that and be a leader nationwide.
Let's move over to take a question live. Will Tift will open up your microphone so that you can speak.
Thank you. I think it was just taken, but I just typed in, Wanted to make sure that folks are aware that the geographic isolation numbers only come out once every 10 years with the decennial census. And we surely have less geographic area now than we did in 2010. The interstate funding formula would dictate that means fewer dollars for rural counties. Is that something that the state is looking at?
Absolutely, that's absolutely. And again, Shannon Gadd from Mariposa County, the former Kentucky Director of Aging, raised that issue yesterday as well. So we do need to take a fresh look at the funding formula, state flexibilities, opportunities at the federal level to make sure it's serving all California communities going forward. And we frankly need the expertise well of people like you who know the if backwards and forwards. So thank you for raising it again. Can I take Sarah's question? And I'm going to invite people on the call. Sarah says it's never a simple question, Sarah, to say what is the problem we're trying to solve and how is it different than ADRC? Here's what I would say. ADRC is that front door that you know where to go, and ADRC can provide that care coordination. I wish I had at my fingertips an email from one of our longtime advocates, Deb, who says, but there's no use to have a front door and coordination if the services aren't there. And if what you end up doing is either because the funding's not there, the connection relationship isn't there, the referral's not there, the coordination. So we're really trying to put the whole thing together. And it comes from the stories we heard throughout the master plan process that it's too hard to find all the services we need in one place. And again, services and opportunities, to Carlos's point earlier, to support the way we want to age. Too many people are going on a scavenger hunt, calling, looking over here, getting on a wait list, not sure, didn't know about something. So ADRC is absolutely an essential part of the solution. But I think when we walk in that front door, there's more to do. And just if it doesn't make it too complicated, the opportunity is only greater when you think about health plans and health plans who might be very willing to pay for these drivers of health. As you know, our state has just approved, I believe it's 14 different social services to help people stay healthy, meals, caregiving, many other supports. And if you are a person trying to put that whole package together and call 14 people, at best it's frustrating and at worst it fails. And so how do we make that a seamless experience to connect people, to bridge? It's because we have so many wonderful programs in so many places that it's hard to coordinate. And we frankly also have many gaps in many places. Many communities do not have the full range. We know that before COVID, and we tragically learned it again in COVID. And so there's many efforts being made to build up those services side, CalAIM, Roadmap, the DHCS is leading, and of course the unprecedented budget investments from our governor and legislature and the president and Congress. But the problem we heard loud and clear, the number one problem we heard in the master plan was it's too hard to find what we need in too many places. So we're trying to tackle that. Thank you for asking me. We'll do a better job of making that clear. And we'll actually include some of the voices we heard from public testimony to help to speak for themselves about the problem we're solving. Thank you. Maureen is asking about how can we make AAs more transparent and collaborative? Well, we took a small step towards that with our COVID dashboards. Our AAAs report a lot of data to us, and it's our job to make that, well, first of all, easier for them to report, but also visible to all of you. And so we did our level best with that in COVID to show, and you can go back right now and look at the meals delivered in your area through Older Americans Act, at the calls answered, at a range of the services, but we want to do that more systemically and also equitably, breaking it down by different zip codes in different parts of the county and different communities to make sure that we're really reaching everyone. So transparency is something we're committed to and have some steps to go to get there. And then again, this question that was raised earlier about regular review. Currently, once an agency is designated as the AAA, there's only two reasons that AAA designation goes away. One is the agency voluntarily relinquishes it, which does sometimes happen. And the other is that CDA makes the finding that a change is needed, and there's a lot of process and grounds behind that. But it's interesting to many of us that there's not an opportunity for counties and communities to revisit the choices they made in the beginning. As their community changes, as demographics change, as priorities and partners change, should there be a chance for counties and communities to revisit how they have structured that foundation? And so that's something we're looking at too, that the decision of who the AAA designation that's originally made in partnership with the state and county should have an opportunity for revisiting in some way at some time. And so again, we're very much looking forward to hearing ideas about how can we do that in a way that's fair, that's transparent, that's not disruptive to services, but that does allow continuing effective planning between county and state government.
There's a clarifying question from Elaine Clark. Is the recommendation to incorporate ADRCs into the new model, not keep them separate? So I think elaborating a little bit more on how the ADRCs fit in this.
Elaine, this is, I think I'm missing some nuance, and we are very fortunate the ADRC Advisory Committee is next Friday, and this will be on the agenda. So that's another opportunity to dig in deeper about how we talk about the relationship between the Aging and Disability Resource Connector and all the services that are being provided by, again, the three, county adult services, the AAA network, and the community-based organizations, which absolutely includes independent living centers, are our essential partner on ADRC. So let's work on nuance and language, but we are talking about more than ADRC. How about this? The ADRC is necessary but not sufficient. ADRC is the important front door, but again, front door without a house behind it is not that helpful. Brenda's asking about training to AAA and ADRC staff on equitable contracts with health plans and other healthcare providers. Yes, Brenda, thank you, from West Health. And we are very much looking forward to working with AAAs and ADRC and ILC on how we can help with health plan partnerships. We, in fact, are proposing a small grant to the C4A, and we're thrilled that Michael Costa is here to help us plan what would it take, what kind of intermediaries, or we look at other states who are helping kind of broker, if I can use another metaphor, brokering between health plans for that bundle of services that our network can provide. So we have a lot of thinking and planning to do, and I'm grateful to places like San Diego, where Brenda and West Health are, that have done a lot of this thinking and planning, and excited about Michael Costa helping us think some more about aligning that opportunity. Dana, most important step would be to fund the infrastructure. Yep, money matters. I would say a couple things. There's an unprecedented amount of money in the network now to respond to the crisis, the catastrophe of the pandemic. So that's absolutely right. And the question is, go forward. The AAA network did ask for an increase in admin funding in the budget. And that has been moving through that extra that additional 3.3. And I think this question of the health plan partnerships suggests that there could be another source of funding, right? Medicaid and Medicare funding for our network, in addition to Older Americans Act, general fund, county funds. So I think we want to build the structure that is able to, that is a good investment for all of those sources of money. As our population grows and diversifies, we want to be ready to serve them, whether Older Americans Act is paying, general fund is paying, county is paying, Medicaid's paying, Medicare's paying. I'm sorry, Carol, that was a long sentence. Or private pay, out of pocket, which of course we all know is where many families stretch to pay for these kinds of services to avoid other more intensive settings. So how do we get our network ready to, we've been talking a lot about the one-stop shop for the people we serve, but we also want to be a one-stop shop for the people who pay for these services. Tracy, California Department of Aging and Disability. This has been come up a lot, and we're looking to our counties who have increasingly made their names broader to aging and disability, aging and independence, aging and adults, and all variations on that. So we welcome input. Of course, just like aging, many departments serve older adults. Many departments serve people with disabilities, first and foremost to the Department of Developmental Disabilities, the Department of Rehabilitation, Department of State Hospitals, So we also don't want to add to the confusion in that, but it comes up frequently, and we're happy to take public input on what's clear and compelling to the public. Tatiana, when I said health plans, I do mean both Medicaid and Medi-Cal, but again, I look forward to more HICAP discussions about what we can do to leverage this opportunity for HICAP. Folks may know HICAP, our state Medicare insurance counseling, has lots of opportunities of its own with new funding in the state budget, new strategic plan investment from philanthropy to help us plan the future, and new partnerships, deeper partnership with the Department of Healthcare Services as they stand up their new Office of Medicare Innovation Integration. So lots of Medicare opportunity. Yep, thank you, Maggie. N4A has done a lot of good work on health plans and aging, and absolutely, Sharon and Shireen and others are helping us connect to that resource. Local 211 providers. I get this question a lot too. We think of local 211 as the generalist and our No Wrong Door, One Door ADRC as the specialist. We absolutely rely on 211 to help people find us if 211 is their first stop, but we think that our services provide that person-centered expertise in aging and disability that is the next step that people are looking for. So again, that'll look different in different communities, but we absolutely know that 211 is an important partner in getting people their first landing spot, but we hope they hand them to us for that more coordinated, comprehensive services. Gwendolyn's asking about county leadership. Absolutely. Both CSAC and CWDA had to send regrets today, or else they would have joined, I believe they would have joined Victoria and Ellen in opening remarks, but we have been in conversation with these four organizations: California Commission on Aging, Association on Area Agencies on Aging, County Board of Supervisors, so CSAC, and CWDA, the County Welfare Directors Association of California. We've been in conversation with them throughout the master plan about the opportunity for county leadership, local leadership, city leadership, and how we as a state can better support them. So we're looking forward to their input. We've been at their work, we've been at their standing committees, continue the dialogue. There may be work groups, there may be position papers, but they are absolutely, and those County Board of Soups are key in having their vision for how they want older adults and themselves to be supported, and how we can help them do that. Connie, we're coming close on time, so I want to make sure we get anybody who's been waiting for a while or any other new and burning questions.
I don't see anyone in queue right now for a live question. I think the Q&A, a lot of these are comments.
Well, Wanda Ferguson's raising some points about palliative care and supportive services. And I think we do need to go deeper on supportive services. And again, that's an area where we could look at a Common Core. We could look at how equitable and culturally appropriate we are. Different cultures do respond to different supportive services, and we could look for rooms for innovation, either with state general fund or perhaps federal waivers, or again, federal modernization. And I do think new therapies are all the time being tested in health plans. You know, palliative care is part of Medicaid. So yes, is the short answer to a long, complicated question, but that's the vision. We want to be person-centered and provide that range of services that help people live in their homes, in their communities, where they choose and thrive. And that does include continually assessing your spokes. Are there other services, different services that could be woven in and that would benefit the people you serve? And we want to make that possible. Well, if there's nothing else you see, Connie, I just want to make sure people know that our door is open, that the email for comments is there if you are so moved to tell us something that we didn't hear. Can you put that slide up, maybe with the web page and the email one back? Well, that's the web page that has all the information. And you will about once a month for the next 6 months, we'll have an update on there of the survey, the town halls, the webinars, updates from various recommendations we might receive from stakeholders. It will be absolutely transparent and share. And then again, we'll come back in December and say, here's what we heard. And here's where there's some consensus. Here's where there's some options. And we hope that will inform us as a department and an agency, the legislature, you all in your local planning, boards of supervisors, AAA leadership, CBO leadership, county leadership, in thinking about what's next for your community. There's going to be leadership required. There is leadership required of all of us, and it's going to be better if we do it, if we're marching in the same direction. So that's what the purpose of this is. We look forward to hearing from you. We know we got some of it wrong. We know we've got some of it not figured out, most of it not figured out yet, but we know we'll get it right and get it figured out together. So thank you very much for your time. Stay safe and keep it coming. We can't wait to hear more from you.